powerful skills in the art and craft of debating. Some of those include developing a wide range of life skills such as research, analysis, clear thinking, often under pressure of time, teamwork, seeing different perspectives on various issues, particularly if you have to argue a topic that you don't necessarily believe in, or a side that you don't necessarily believe in. That can be quite challenging, and it helps you see another perspective. Helps you formulate a logical, evidence-based argument, develop confidence in yourself, in speaking in front of peers and strangers and your parents. And very importantly, and this is one of our cornerstones in our association, I hope you've had a bit of fun and enjoyment along the way as well. Debating SA remains firmly committed to promoting and supporting debating, therefore, as a very valuable skill for young people. This year we've had 170 teams representing 47 schools across the state. Some 780 students have participated, and that's fantastic. We're honoured to have the ongoing patronage of His Excellency, the Governor of South Australia, Rear Admiral Kevin Scarce. I thank James Tran and Sonia Lowen for their unstinting commitment and hard work in organising and running our program, as well as providing the much needed training and resources for schools. I thank the army of people, you, parents, teachers, adjudicators, families and helpers who provided so much support in various ways throughout the year. Our host schools this year have been Adelaide High, Pulteney Grammar School, Grange Primary School, Nazareth College and Pembroke School. I thank all those schools for so generously making available their facilities for our debating competition. And I do look forward to seeing all of you back next year for the 2014 competition. I also thank our major sponsor, Community CPS, who make so much of what we do possible. They provide the trophies which are awarded in the various categories. Finally, on a day like this, what better place to be and to hear our top debaters than in this, our very own House of Assembly, in the Parliament of South Australia, which stands, I think, as a very powerful symbol of democracy, free speech and exchange of ideas and views. Debating SA is very grateful to the Honourable Chloe Fox, Member for Bright, along with her parliamentary colleagues, for allowing us to use this facility. Just two reminders for today's debaters. Please don't press the button, because if you do, the microphone carries through the whole building, and I don't think that's something they'd like. Nor open the drawers in front of you, because there might be secret documents there that they don't want you to see. I also ask that debaters please stand in front of the lectern here so you can face the audience, and do speak up, because being a large chamber like this, your voice needs to carry and project. So all the very best to our two grand final teams today. I'm sure we're in for a very enjoyable and interesting and engaging exchange of ideas. So without further ado, let the debate begin.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alex Chen, and it is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2013 Year 10 Division Debating SA Grand Final Debate. The topic of this debate is that Apple is really 11. Hoping to convince you of the truth of this afternoon's topic is the affirmative team from Westminster School, consisting of first speaker Sophie Jones, second speaker Olivia Roberts, and third speaker Tess Fuller. Trying to show you that this afternoon's topic is false is the negative team from Pulteney Grammar School, consisting of Grace Mankaville, second speaker Calvin Heath, and third speaker Luke Radford. The grand final debate will be judged by a panel of 5 adjudicators, who are Mrs. Lane McCullough, Mr. Lachlan Hemsley, Mr. Lachlan Tamlin, Mrs. Lily Hirsch, and Ms. Thea Lee. The speaking time of this debate is 6 minutes. A single warning bell will sound at 5 minutes, and a double bell will sound at 6 minutes. I ask that all mobile phones are switched off for the duration of this debate. I declare this debate open and call upon the first affirmative speaker, Sophie Jones.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for our debate today is that Apple is really a lemon. We as the affirmative team firmly believe this statement is true. We, the affirmative team, define the topic as Apple with a capital A, indicating a proper pronoun, as the all-consuming conglomerate company that controls the world in technology. We elaborate with defining lemon as being a dud, something lame and useless which leaves a sour taste in the mouth. Thus, by combining these definitions, we, the affirmative team, will prove to you today that the Apple Corporation is overrated, no good and malicious. Apples are delicious. They are medium-sized, have white flesh, are round, smooth, a bright red or green, display a beautiful glossy finish, and they are crisp and juicy. They sound yummy, don't they? Mixed with other fruit, oranges, pears, grapes, berries, they make a tantalising dessert. You may not know this, but in ancient Greece, apples were sacred to the Greek god Aphrodite, and that to throw an apple at someone was to symbolically declare one's love. And similarly, to catch it was to symbolically show one's acceptance of that love. We, the affirmative team, have provided you with an alluring and dreamy description of apples, which for the most part we are sure you can relate with. But what happens when you get a bad apple? A colourless apple, no taste, and one that will turn brown because it has a bite taken out of it. Furthermore, think about this. The cheery, bright, glossy fruit that I've already described to you does not reflect the apple used to represent and sell one of the world's most regulatory and controlling organisations that affect millions of people each day. We, the affirmative team, will be proving to you today that the Apple Corporation is really a lemon on several counts. Evil, corrupt, greedy, immoral, and inhumane are just a few words that describe the Apple that Apple Inc. is first established in 1976, used to promote their image. Today, as first speaker, I'll be talking about the fact that Apple is well known for using slave labour and sweatshops to produce their products, meaning the company as a whole is immoral and unethical. Also, I will be discussing the economics of Apple and how their products are overly expensive for what they are, and how Apple's shares have plummeted as a result. Our second speaker will be talking to you about how the company Apple is controlling and manipulative, with dodgy apps and evil subliminal messages. She will then continue to discuss how Apple products are duds, as they break easily and are non-compatible with other products. Finally, she'll talk about how Apple spends more money on lawsuits than developing the actual products. Our third speaker will rebut the opposition's case and summarise our team's argument. Now to my first point, that it is a well-known fact that Apple uses slave labour and sweatshops to produce their devices. There is no denying that Apple is one of the world's largest technological companies, and Foxconn, the maker of the majority of Apple products, appears to have cracked under the pressure of keeping up with the demands. Around 400,000 employees eat, sleep and work in these giant factories in China, owned by Foxconn, and are responsible for producing Apple's products. Furthermore, the New York Times published a bombshell in 2012 about the conditions inside these Chinese factories that produce all the gadgets Apple fanatics crave. And it's not pretty. In short, your iPhones, iPads and iPods are being produced in slave labour camps. Tragically, so far this year, at least 16 people have jumped to their deaths in one of Apple's sweatshops. These acts of desperation were due to the overwhelming pressure put on factory workers in such a poor environment to produce an endless range of Apple products. Thousands of these people are compacted into small factories working unimaginable hours, all because they're so desperate to earn a living that Foxconn and Apple feel justified to take advantage of them. All these hours and they get paid a measly $1.80 per hour. For a company worth over $500 billion, surely they could afford to pay their workers at least the minimum wage and provide better working conditions. If this isn't enough to prove to you that Apple is really a big fat lemon, then wait, there's more. 137 workers in eastern China were badly injured after they were ordered to use poisonous chemicals to clean Apple iPhone screens. 7 months after these incidents, 2 explosions at iPad factories killed 4 people and injured 77 others. It has also been revealed that Apple was alerted to the dangerous conditions inside these factories, however chose to ignore the issue, putting it in the too hard fruit basket. Apple's use of sweatshops and slave labour to produce their products most definitely deems them immoral and unethical, proving our team's point that Apple is indeed a lemon. On to my second point, the economics of Apple and how their products are overly expensive for what they are. And as people have come to realise this, it has resulted in Apple's shares plummeting. Apple used to be one of the most valuable companies in the world, but it seems Apple has peaked and is now on a very fast downward spiral. There are a number of signs that prove Apple is undeniably past their peak, the most recent of which is the whole Maps debacle. Replacing Google Maps with an obviously inferior product on all Apple devices shows how much of a lemon the company really is. Apple is supposedly about offering users the best possible experience. However, the fact that they are willing to give users a clearly faulty and substandard product purely to further Apple's corporate interests shows just how low the company really is. The most outstanding thing is that this is the sort of behaviour people have come to expect from Apple. The company has shifted away from a focus on building the best and most complete user experience and started putting its interests way ahead of those of its users. It hasn't introduced a truly new product since the launch of the iPad nearly 3 years ago. Instead, it's making incremental and overhyped improvements to its current lines. This unreliable behaviour, which has resulted in Apple's shares dropping an incredible 33.56% in the last year. And the most outstanding thing is that the company's shares have slid by over 6% in the last week alone, which is equivalent to $35 billion. This most recent decline is due to the release of the overpriced iPhone 5S. It appears people are sick and tired of paying hundreds of dollars for nothing but a mediocre product. The drop in Apple's popularity over the last year says it all. The proof is in the pudding, or in this case, the apple pie. And it seems that people see the company Apple as nothing but a lemon that leaves a bitter taste in the mouth. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, in conclusion, we, the affirmative team, have indeed proven to you that Apple is nothing more than a lemon, as they use illegal services to produce their products, making their company immoral and unethical, and because their dud products are overly expensive for what they are. Thank you.
To open the negative case.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman. The topic for today's debate is that Apple is really a lemon. We, the negative team, believe that Apple is not a lemon, and today we'll leave you with no doubt in your mind that Apple is anything but. We disagree with the negative team's the opposition's definition, and define Apple as the brand that encompasses the Apple company and its products, and define lemon as something that's function is unsatisfactory in regards to consumer expectations. And what consumers expect from Apple is innovation and function. So today, we the negative team will prove to you that Apple's function is far better than satisfactory. As the first speaker for the negative team, I will rebut the opposition and discuss the innovation of Apple and its products, and the financial success of Apple. These things proving that Apple is functional and therefore not a lemon. Our second speaker, Calvin, will show you how user-friendly the products are and will discuss the continual success of all of Apple's products, again proving it is not a lemon. And our third speaker, Luke, will summarise our team's case and show you exactly why the opposition is wrong. The opposition has tried to tell you that all of Apple's products are faulty. This is false. Not all Apple products are faulty. Just because 2 or 3 people have a bad experience does not mean the entire company is a lemon. Furthermore, Apple has a great warranty policy where they will replace or give you heavily discounted products within that time if your product is faulty. They have also said Apple has not released many new products since the iPad 3. However, this is false. Apple has released the iOS 7 and the iPhone 5C, and later this year is set to release the iWatch. They sound like new products to me. They've also said that Apple is on a downward spiral. However, this year, according to Forbes' 2000 most powerful companies in the world, Apple is #1. That does not sound like a downward spiral to me, people. They've also said that Apple's experienced explosions at their factory. This is due to health and safety regulations in that country. This is not a fault of Apple. That company should have been, the country, sorry, should have been closely monitoring what was happening. They've also said that Apple uses sweatshop labour. However, after these allegations were made, Apple made very big attempts to correct those mistakes and is still in the process of correcting that. Now to my first point, the innovation of Apple. Apple is the company that prides itself on creating simple, innovative products, products that function well for consumers. And this is what people have come to expect from Apple. For 6 consecutive years, Apple has been named the most innovative company by US publication Business Week. That's pretty impressive given the products coming from some other companies. The reason Apple has remained the most innovative is because over the years they've created products that were well ahead of their times and that functioned well for consumers. Apple's innovation goes right back to its first products. In 1976, Apple was the first company to release a computer with a single motherboard. Basically a computer that was slimmer and could function more efficiently than others at the time. And that was pretty innovative. And later, Apple released what's now one of its most popular products, the iPhone. Released in 2007, it was the first advanced touchscreen smartphone. It meant you had everything at your fingertips: music, internet, phone calls, text messages, a camera, a calendar, and of course the App Store. And later this year, Apple is set to release an iWatch, a multi-functioning watch that can be easily synced with all Apple devices. This shows Apple's innovation just keeps on coming. And those are just 3 examples of the simple functioning innovation Apple has and continues to exhibit, showing not only do the products function, but that the company as a whole functions. All the innovation Apple has exhibited over the years shows Apple is not a lemon, as it creates products that have functioned amazingly. Consumers' expectations have been exceeded by Apple's innovation. They have not been let down, meaning Apple is not a lemon. Now to my second point, the financial success of Apple. Did you know Apple is worth more than the entire 1977 US stock market? 300 years of Irish beer consumption, 4 US civil wars, 2 entire Apollo space programs. Apple could even pay off Australia's debt and have a few $100 billion left over. What do all these statistics prove? Well, they prove that Apple is financially a highly functioning and successful company. Apple has a net worth of over $500 billion and has been tipped by many financial experts to be the first trillion-dollar company within the next 2 years. The financial success of Apple shows that they are not a lemon company because people wouldn't buy their products if they really were. Since 2012, Apple has grown by 64.21%. Given the unstable economies of the world, that's pretty impressive. A lemon company would not be growing like that. And clearly, this demonstrates that Apple is not a lemon because the products function and the company functions. The massive financial success of Apple more than proves they are not a lemon. It proves that they are one of the most successful companies in recent history. And it is an absolute lie to call what will soon be one of the first trillion-dollar companies a lemon. Apple is functional to a standard well above what is expected by consumers, meaning they cannot be a lemon. To conclude, Apple is a highly functioning and successful company, a company that produces innovative and efficient products, a company that functions well right from its core, enabling it to be financially successful. Apple's products are not unsatisfactory. Apple's financial success is not unsatisfactory, and therefore Apple is not a lemon. And if nothing else, I'm sure the late and great Steve Jobs would be looking down on his creation and smiling, as it is truly the apple of his eye.
continue the affirmative case, please welcome Olivia Roberts.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen. The topic for today's debate is that Apple is really a lemon. We, the affirmative team, firmly believe that this statement is unquestionably true. Before stating my team's case, I would like to correct some of the misleading information provided to you by the negative team. The first negative speaker has tried to tell you that Apple is an innovative company. However, this is wrong because Apple ripped their ideas off of other companies. Their most well-known product, the iPhone, hasn't drastically changed in years. They also said that Apple is the most innovative company. However, the negative team clearly hasn't done their research, as Apple is only ranked 79th on Forbes' list of innovative companies. Her second point was the financial success of Apple. However, Apple is not successful because stock markets show that shares are on a substantial decline. Obviously, the negative team haven't been keeping up with the times, as their argument was based on outdated information. Our first speaker has already proved to you that Apple is certainly a lemon because of their inhumane and cold-hearted use of the Foxconn factory. She also discussed that society is beginning to realise Apple's products are highly overpriced, and as a result, their shares have plummeted drastically. As second speaker today, I will be proving to you that Apple is a controlling, corrupt and manipulative company, that the organisation produces numerous faulty and ineffective products, and that Apple spends a concerning amount of time and money on lawsuits. Now to my first point, that Apple are a controlling, corrupt and manipulative company. You may not know, but there is an unfortunate catch with Apple products. Even after you spend your hard-earned money on these fancy wonder toys, you still don't really own them. Turns out Jobs might have literally been speaking in the first person when he started slapping eyes in front of everything he sold, as in, I am Steve Jobs, and I just sold you suckers a gadget that I designed, I control, and I break if you break my arbitrary rules. Manufacturers of other cell phones and gadgets, such as Samsung and Sony, don't care what customers do once they've paid for their products with good, honest credit card debt. But Apple will actively disable your devices for disobeying their arbitrary rules. They have so much control over the products that they purposely seal the devices so they can't be fixed by anyone other than themselves, and so that separate parts can be replaced, i.e. the battery is soldered in so it can't be taken out. Not only that, they secretly attach apps to new updates, so that when you update your phone, unwanted, undeletable apps will automatically download onto your phone without your consent. Therefore, Apple is really a lemon, as they have subliminal control over you and your Apple devices. This brings me to my second point, that Apple is undoubtedly a lemon because it has produced numerous failed and ineffective products. For the past 20 years, Apple has constantly been rolling out unsuccessful products. In 1994, Apple released Apple Pippin, a device designed to play CD-based multimedia titles and games. However, this product experienced a silent death after only 42,000 of them were sold. Then, after the failure of the Apple ROKR collaboration with Motorola, Apple created its first iPhone. The iPhone 3G was a disappointment to many consumers, as the battery was flawed and as a result would frequently overheat, causing discoloration. Apple then tried to redeem themselves by creating the excessively expensive iPhone 4, which was priced from a whopping $800 to $1,000. However, it soon turned out to be an iLemon, as its consumers discovered that the smartphone would frequently cut off phone calls and the battery life was extremely poor. A recent product failure from Apple is the iPad. After the release of the greatly anticipated tablet, Apple customers felt as though the company had failed to produce a gadget that was revolutionary, especially as it was missing features and did not live up to expectations. An even more recent addition to the Apple family of smartphones is the iPhone 5. According to the Daily Mail on the 5th of May 2013, the iPhone 5 have received the biggest customer backlash following its launch, receiving a barrage of complaints for everything from its lack of innovation to its new power connector, its mapping application to its unnecessary high price. Apple really is a lemon due to its increasing number of ineffective products and its failure to comply with the standards held by its consumers. Now to my third and final point. The Apple is a lemon because it spends unnecessary amounts of money on lawsuits and has also had multiple allegations against the company. Apple now spends more money on litigation and copywriting lawsuits than it does on creating new ideas. According to the Washington Post on the 10th of September 2013, Last year, Apple spent more money on copywriting ideas than on research and development. As a result of this, business strategists have become highly concerned about the future of a company that spends a great deal of time in the courtroom defending their products. The first point of great concern is that legal battles divert leadership from looking after the basic corporate functions, most notably the discovery of new business opportunities. Second, legal victories create a sense of smug self-satisfaction, something that the already pretentious and condescending company does not need. And third, litigation is hurting the company's image among consumers. Take, for example, when in the spring of 2011, Apple began litigating against Samsung in patent infringement suits. Meanwhile, Apple had already gotten themselves into a patent war with Motorola. In addition to the numerous petty laws Apple has brought to the court, there has also been countless allegations made against the company. According to dailyfinance.com, on the 18th of January 2009, Apple was found guilty of charging UK consumers higher prices for the same iTunes songs sold elsewhere. Additionally, in December 2010, two separate groups of iPhone and iPad users successfully sued Apple, who was found guilty of passing personal information to third-party advisors without the user's consent. Therefore, with all this evidence, it is clear that Apple is really a lemon, as it spends more money on litigation than it does on coming up with new ideas. In conclusion, Apple Corporation is rotten to the core, ladies and gentlemen, and not even a squeeze of lemon can prevent the company from going brown and continuing to produce lame products. This company spends more time on litigation and, in a true dystopian fashion, control the device you buy. Apple clearly continues to upset the apple cart and thus is a lemon.
To continue the negative case, please welcome Calvin Heath.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the saying goes, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. I thought it was 2 and 5 every day, but one thing I do know is that an apple keeps the PC doctor away. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the second speaker of the negative team, and I hope to show you today that without a doubt, apples are not lemons. First speaker Grace has already discussed the innovative style of Apple and their products. I will be discussing the consumer compatibility of Apple products, resulting in consumer confidence, both showing that Apple is no lemon. Finally, third speaker Luke will rebut the opposition team's case and summarise our own. First, however, I would like to rebut some of the arguments made by the affirmative team. Ladies and gentlemen, by their own definition, they refer to a lemon as a dud. However, they then went on to use evidence surrounding the usage of sweatshop and cheap labour in foreign countries to create their products. But this does not relate to the quality of the product, to whether that product is a dud or not. They then went on to say that the legal battles that Apple involves themselves in cost more than the products they actually make, showing that they are not innovative. However, they are making these legal battles to defend the innovation that they make, because companies like Samsung are stealing their ideas, and then they are simply defending the products that they make through the legal process. Ladies and gentlemen, Apple products are easy to use. They are easy to navigate, multi-purpose, and are extremely resistant to viruses. They are user-friendly. So user-friendly, in fact, that they can be used to teach toddlers the concept of cause and effect. So easy that they can be used to teach the concept of action and reaction, not understood by toddlers. And this can be taught just by the sequences shown on their screens. It is so easy that children in developing nations can use them after just 20 minutes with one. And it is so easy to use that it has fulfilled Steve Jobs' childhood dream of having computers available to everyone. And yes, not all these computers belong to Apple or are Apple products. However, it is Apple's dream, the creator of Apple's dream, that this would become a reality, and the innovation that they have created has allowed this to become a possibility. Ladies and gentlemen, the ease with which all consumers, not just IT professionals, can navigate products influences the satisfaction with that product. The evidence presented clearly shows that apples are easily navigated by customers, meaning greater satisfaction. A customer satisfaction is key as to whether a product is branded a lemon. In conclusion, apples are so far from being lemons, they're not even a citrus fruit. Ladies and gentlemen, the obvious advantages consumers get from Apple products are why there is so much confidence in them. A survey conducted in July of 2011, 14 months before the iPhone 5 was released, showed that 35% of American consumers wanted an iPhone 5. This desire, shown by over 1/3 of all American consumers, was in spite of the fact that no information was available about eventual release date, cost, or design of the new iPhone. Yet 35% of Americans wanted one. And this is in a market against such giants as Samsung. To call an Apple product a lemon, would you not therefore have to say that the lack of consumer confidence in companies like Samsung suggests that they too are a lemon? Ladies and gentlemen, it takes customer loyalty to get confidence out of consumers. And customer loyalty is something that Apple has in bucket loads. A study by research firm Brand Keys found that Apple's smartphone division ranked as the second highest company in customer loyalty in the world, behind only online retailer Amazon. This indefatigable support of the Apple brand shows that it obviously meets consumer expectations, which is in direct contrast to our definition of a lemon, a dysfunctional product that does not meet those consumer expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, in a nutshell, Apple products are easy, effective, and errorless, and efficient, but they are not lemons. Thank you.
To conclude the affirmative case, I call upon Tess Fuller.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, timekeeper, ladies and gentlemen. The topic of debate today has been that Apple is a lemon, and we as the affirmative team have proved to you that this statement is undoubtedly true. We have already convinced you that Apple is a disgracefully corrupt, controlling and manipulative company that produces overpriced, faulty and problematic products in an inhumane and unethical manner. The negative team has falsely tried to mislead you into thinking otherwise, hence I will now proceed to rebut all the points put forward by our opposition. So basically the negative team had tried to bring forward 4 main points to support their case. These were that Apple is not a lemon because they are an innovative company, they make a lot of profit, they are user-friendly, and they meet consumers' expectations. So the first speaker tried to mislead you into thinking that Apple is not a lemon because they are an innovative company. This is utterly incorrect, as Apple is not a technology invention company, they are a technology recipe company. They take innovative and interesting things that other designers have created, change the design ever so slightly, whack their poison apple logo on the back and claim it as their own. You may also be interested to know that Apple is ranked only 79th on the Forbes list of innovative companies. But despite all this, we do accept that Apple have come up with one innovative idea, and this is creating an incredibly complex system to avoid paying its fair share of taxes in the US. The company collects and manages its cash in Nevada rather than its headquarters in California because the former state has no corporate tax. The net effect is that Apple have managed to cut down its federal tax bill by more than $2 billion in 2012. Yes, negative team, this is innovative, but it is certainly not the kind of innovation that we want to hear about. This act of thievery and cheating make evident that Apple is a lemon. Additionally, Apple have been out-innovated in their most profitable product, the iPhone, that has not really dramatically changed for years. Android and Windows have been able to successfully change their products to a greater degree, which has proved to be extraordinarily popular with both analysts and consumers. As a result, stock prices have in fact dropped each time Apple have released a new product. People are losing faith in Apple's ability to innovate, indeed deeming Apple a lemon. The first speaker's second point was that Apple are a highly financially successful company. Well, if the opposition have actually been monitoring the stock market for the last couple of weeks, they would have seen that Apple's shares are on a substantial decline. Obviously, the negative team's argument is based around irrelevant and outdated information. IDC, International Data Collection, clearly states that Windows own 90% of the PC market, Android owns 75% of the smartphone market, and Android also owns 60% of the tablet market. These statistics speak for themselves. Apple is not dominant in any of these markets their major products fall into, further verifying that they are not as successful as the obviously uneducated negative team make them out to be. The first speaker also brought up Steve Jobs and said that he was a good asset to the company. We, the affirmative team, do agree with this. However, how can the negative team even begin to argue that this point may slightly support their case when Steve Jobs did in fact sadly pass away in 2011 and isn't even working with Apple anymore? This point is utterly irrelevant to today's debate. Ever since Jobs' passing, Apple has been on their noticeable demise. The company has entirely lost its magic. Much of what made Steve Jobs' company so enchanting was the mystery surrounding his products and its secret promise to consumers that whatever they would see under that black veil, they would absolutely love. And unfortunately, in the first 2 years of Apple being under Tim Cook, that black veil that once promised surprises and one more thing is being replaced for a see-through white cloth. Without him, Apple is nothing. Everything was founded with his vision, and there is nobody that has rivaled him. Apple is truly a lemon without Steve Jobs. The second speaker then tried to say that Apple's products are user-friendly. However, Apple's products are only user-friendly when they actually work. How can the opposition argue that they are user-friendly when the battery runs out abnormally fast, the lock button is frequently faulty, Siri's speech recognition can't even recognise speech, and her interpretive skills are on par with a competent labradoodle? How can they say Apple's products are user-friendly after the Apple Maps apocalypse? We have seen local high schools such as Morphettvale High and St. Peter's wasting tens of thousands of dollars on Apple devices, only to find them faulty, unable to hold the required amount of data, and proving to be a nuisance for teachers and students. Of course, the techies that spend years perfecting Apple products and know its functions inside and out are prepared to claim it just works. But for the consumers who haven't immersed ourselves in the production process, it just doesn't work. The negative second speaker referred to toddlers using Apple products and ridiculously presented this as a good thing. But this is exactly the problem. The age that children own these products is getting younger and younger, and the detrimental risks to youth that own iPhones at such a young age are getting worse and worse. Dr. Deborah Davis, a renowned cancer expert and the 2007 Nobel Peace Prize winner, notes in her new book that iPhone radiations are a national emergency, especially when it comes to children. According to her research, iPhone radiation could result in damaged DNA, memory loss, broken down brain defences, and even may increase the risk of disease and cancer. In addition to this, if we want to bring it back to basics, iPhones are not teaching the youth of today's society any effective communication skills or how to behave in the real world. Children as young as 3 are dependent on these gadgets, and Apple are not setting them up for a good life. So we as the affirmative team have provided you with 5 key arguments to support our case today. Our first speaker, Sophie, proves to you that Apple is certainly a lemon because of their inhumane and cold-hearted use of the Foxconn factory to produce their technological goods, and because of their unforgiving manner in which they treat and pay their workers. Her second point was that society is beginning to realise Apple's products are highly overpriced, and as a result of this, Apple's recent shares have plummeted drastically. Our second speaker said that Apple are a terrifyingly controlling and manipulative company. Her second point was that the products are often faulty, and her third and final point was that Apple spends more money on lawsuits trying to bring other companies down than it does actually building their own company up. So in conclusion, the humble, sweet and delicious apple has been manipulated by the Apple Corporation as their logo. We, the affirmative team, have without a doubt proved to you that this logo represents something so sinister, controlling and corrupt that the world has become a worse place since Apple's inception. It is the ultimate poison apple. Apple is definitely a lemon, and even though the company tries to pass off their products as gold nuggets, just beneath the surface you will find a dud that leaves a sour taste in your mouth. There is definitely something rotten at the core of this apple.
To conclude the negative case in this afternoon's debate, I call upon Luke Bradford.
Ladies and gentlemen, when I am an adult, there will be many things that I will tell my children. But one of the things that I will especially have to tell them is the massive positive influence that Apple has had on my young life so far. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chairman, I'm the third speaker of the negative team, and it's my job today to make sure that you understand that Apple is certainly not a lemon. My first job today is to cleanse your minds of all the lies that the opposing team has attempted to fill them with. Their first speaker told you about how Apple uses cheap or slave labour to build their products. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, this is irrelevant in the topic of the debate. The topic is that Apple is a lemon. Not that Apple is immoral, or Apple uses cheap labour, or, Apple is really not a good company. The topic is that Apple is actually a lemon, which means that they make products that are of unsatisfactory, consumer thought. Anyway, they also tried to tell you that Apple products are overpriced, and that they're also duds. Well, actually, Apple products are of extremely high quality. You pay for high quality, ladies and gentlemen. Apple products may be very expensive, but Apple products are very expensive for a good reason. They are high quality machines. They are made to not break, to not get viruses, and all sorts of other things. Like seriously, when is the last time you heard of an Apple suffering a critical system failure, or catching a virus and being absolutely destroyed from the inside out? I don't think I've ever heard of one of those stories in my whole life. They also tried to tell you that Apple have a few failed products. Yes, that's true, but every company is entitled to have a few duds, to have a few bad products that didn't go their way. I'm sure Microsoft has a hell of a lot under their bonnet. They also tried to tell you that the iPhone 5 suffered a critical backlash after it was launched. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is a clear example of tall poppy syndrome. When someone is successful, you want to cut them down. That happens. Look at Justin Bieber or One Direction. I surely don't like their music, but there are a lot of people who just hate them because they're successful. Not because they don't like their music. It's the same with Apple. Apple is highly successful. Thus, people hate them and want to cut them down to size. They also told you that Apple spends an absolutely huge amount on lawsuits. Yes, that's true. But if you have a great product, I'm sure you'd want to defend it to make sure no one else is pinching it. I'm sure that if I come up with a design for a revolutionary bread slicer later in my life, I'm going to go and make sure it's copyrighted so no one's going to pinch my design. They also told you that Apple is in a financial downward spiral. I think you better check your facts, opposing team. The main name in business, in looking at business, is Forbes. And Forbes says that Apple is #1 for market value and also #2 in profits out of every company in the world, not just for electronical things. That's a big thing, ladies and gentlemen. They also tried to tell you that Apple are ranked 79th for innovation. Well, actually, Apple have been ranked #1 for 6 years for innovation by US publication Business Week. I'm sure if you've got business in the title of your magazine, it's got to be pretty good. They also tried to tell you that without Steve Jobs, Apple is nothing. Well, actually, I concur. After Steve Jobs died, Apple has released iCloud, iOS 5, the iPhone 4, iPhone 4S, MacBook Pro, iPad 3rd generation, Apple TV, MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, Retina MacBook Pro, Apple EarPods, iPod Touch 5th generation, iPod Nano 7th generation, Mac Mini, iPad Mini, iPad 4th gen, iMac, iOS 7, iPhone 4S, iPhone 5C, which is about to come out, and iPhone 5S. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an astonishing list. It just goes on and on and on, talking about how great Apple has made their products after Steve Jobs' death. And the fact is that even though Steve Jobs may not be with us today, his influence lives on, and Apple are still innovating as they have always been. And now to summarise my team's case. Our first speaker, Grace, talked to you about how innovative Apple are in their design of products. Apple products are some of the most impressive things I have ever seen in my life. When the iPad came out, it changed the game completely. It blew everyone's minds. This was a computer that would start up in less than a minute, run pretty much everything you wanted at your fingertips, and was very portable. You could carry it around anywhere you wanted, slip it into your bag, or anything. It was an incredible thing. It also changed the face of the games market, because with the App Store, why would you bother bringing along a gaming device when you could just have millions and millions of games at your fingertips on your iPad? Grace also talked to you about the financial successes that Apple have endured for a long time. And it's despite the fact that the opposing team has tried to tell you otherwise, Apple are actually at an all-time high, and they will probably continue this way for a very long time. Our second speaker, Calvin, told you about how user-friendly Apple products are. You take an iPad into a developing country and give it to a kid who's never seen anything that runs on electricity before, they've worked out how to use it within the first 20 minutes. And trust me, when I picked up an iPad, I knew how to use it within 5 minutes. And the thing is, this is incredible. These kids don't, to these kids, anything that runs on electricity is witchcraft. And yet they're using an iPad properly, just as well as a pro would, within 20 minutes. That's insane. Calvin also told you about how Apple has enjoyed continuing successes with their products, even after the late Steve Jobs' death. And as our first speaker, Grace, told you, I'm sure that Steve Jobs is looking down on Apple at the moment and smiling, because it has truly become the apple of his eye.
afternoon. My name is Sonia Long and I'm the Training and Development Officer for Debating SA. Just before I announce the results, I noticed that there were a couple of much younger children in the audience, and I'd like to thank them very much for being especially still and quiet, and they are a credit to their parents. So thank you for that. I'd like to also congratulate both teams for getting thus far. I know it's a really hard slog getting through all the season. You need a lot of dedication, devotion, research skills and help from your parents who obviously have to drive you to various places. This was much closer than some of our earlier decisions today. This was a 3-2 split, and so I'd like to congratulate the affirmative.
I call upon a member of the runner-up team from Pulteney to give a vote of thanks.
Alright, thanks for coming out, everyone. It was a really, really great debate, and it was a split decision, so that's really close. So I'd like to extend my gratitude to the opposing team. You did a fantastic job, and we'll see you in November.
I call upon a member of the winning team from Westminster School to second that vote of thanks.
First of all, we'd just like to thank everyone for coming out and watching us. It makes a big difference actually debating to a big audience. And we'd like to congratulate the negative team for getting this far. You should be really proud of yourselves, and you did a really excellent job. And last but not least, thanks to our coach for getting us this far as well. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attendance. I now declare